Hi everyone, this is Ridhi and this is Arc Story's first ever video. I figured I wanted to do the first video as a Q&A and interview my mom. Now, the reason why I picked my mom is because I feel like in my international student journey, my mom's been my number one supporter. She's been with me in it. And it's always nice to have that parent perspective of, what does it look like from their view and their perspective? I know a lot of us who are watching this video right now are probably looking to go abroad or already abroad. So I really hope this is useful and let me know if it is. This is my first try at it, so tell me how I do. But with that, let's straight jump into it. Hi, Mom. Mama, how are you doing? I'm just going to start asking you questions, I think, as usual. But okay, my first question for you, Mama, is how did you, as a parent, prepare yourself and your child for studying abroad? So what did you do and how were you, what would you say best prepared you to, be an international student parent and also kind of send me abroad?
Of course, like any other parent, I was very scared, a bit confused, how to send my child all the way so far away from this environment, because female children are protected in Indian household and given a lot of love and care. So I was a bit worried. At the same time, I wanted my child to have the international exposure, good studies. At the same time, I wanted my daughter to learn and also know the culture of the other countries and their education system. That's the only way I thought my child can have a good, bright future.
All right. Okay. I think with that, we jump to the second question that I get to ask you. Um, what would you say makes a student ready and successful to take on education abroad? Like, what would you say, you have to get ready? What makes them ready?
First, every student should have the courage and determination and also focus on studies. Going abroad is not a holiday. It's not a holiday you're going with your family. You're going for an education to uplift yourself. So you have to really concentrate and have a focus on your education.
Okay. Thank you for that. Let's go on to the third question that I have for you. Well, this is one of my favorite questions. If you have 3 lessons learned from your experience as a parent to children who study abroad, what would that be? And I ask for 3 lessons because there's 3 of us, or maybe you learned all 3 lessons from just one of us, but just 3 lessons.
Good question. I would say don't put your children in the hostel there, because that will be really like, you throw a child completely into a different environment. Try to get them a flat, which I did near the college, so that they can share the apartment and stay with another friend. That will be much, convenient to them for their food or their free time to study. And they will not have other friends nag them to come out for parties and pubs, because especially I feel as a parent, all the way, you're going there, nothing wrong in life and enjoyment at the same time. A lot of focus should be there on your career, on your education. So definitely a little bit of privacy would help. So this is the first lesson. The second lesson is don't get involved in local politics and with unknown people, and especially unwanted habits. That is like drugs, liquor, and all this. So what happened is, as a mother, the lesson what I learned was to keep on having communication with your children. Every day call them, every day talk to them, every day find out about what is their problem and what are they facing, what are their, kind of fear. So make sure that you clear all that to your children so that they can have a very peaceful and happy life there. The third lesson I learned is, before sending your children overseas, teach them little bit of cooking. If you don't teach them little bit of cooking, they're going to find it very hard. They will end up eating only burgers and pizzas and they will start gaining a lot of weight. So the third lesson I learned was to teach them little bit of cooking.
I'll jump to the fourth question. Um, was it hard to maintain communication, connection, and supervision of your children while they were abroad? A very, very, very straightforward question, Mama. Was it hard to maintain communication, connection, and supervision of your children while they were abroad?
No, not at all. Since fortunately, All of us have iPhones, so we had FaceTime, we had video calling, and regularly I used to speak, and I had made my children very strong
I was wondering what you were going to say about communication, but
and fearless, and they also in a lot of path of God. So regularly they used to call me. The best thing what a parent should do is communicate with your children like a friend. Don't treat them like children. So I think they were very happy. Their communication was not at all difficult.
all right. Final question for Mama. Did you blindly trust the process? Or were there a lot of discussions and research for you as a parent in sending your children abroad?
Definitely, I did a lot of research, and there were a lot of counseling from various countries who had come down to India to take their children overseas. So we were evaluating where to go, where to study, whether we have the budget, whether we can afford that budget, and most important is whether your child will be safe there in that environment. I wanted the best for my child, so definitely I did a lot of research. But unfortunately, a lot of things which we learned when my child went to the destination, plenty of things were missing. Definitely, after going there, the child joining the college, we found out of many things. So hostel is not so great. So let us ship them to another, the close by flats. Then getting them their own, washing machine and utensils, and making them, set up the home. And also, if they needed any career guidance, so connect them with the right people there. And in case they wanted to take a part-time job, which is very, very essential for some children, everybody, their parents can't afford. So the child had to go to a good place where they take a part-time job so they don't get unnecessary harassment. So all this, the right help we did not get. So only after they reaching there on their own, the children found out all these details.
Okay, here we go. My turn. All right, first question.
As a student, what do you think the parents must do so that a student can really go abroad and study well? What is your actual expectations about a parent? Many children get scared to tell their parents what they want to do, and they end up committing suicide. So I don't think this is the right way to go ahead in life. So what do you really expect from a parent, and how can every child approach her parents and tell her dreams?
To-dos. I would say start with your research, okay? So ask yourself the questions that your parents will ask you and many, many more than that. What do I mean by that? Okay, where do you want to go to study? Why do you want to study? What exactly do you want to study? What do you see yourself doing after studying? Why are you picking the country that you're picking? Why are you picking the city that you're picking? Why are you picking the stream that you're picking? I would say it's very, very important for you to have answers to these. And you don't necessarily, starting off, you may not immediately have the answers to all of it. It might just be an idea, a desire. I just want to go abroad. Great. Take a pen, take a white sheet of paper, write it down, pen it down. Because the more you write about it, the more you're going to be able to figure it out. Like, think about it like, plans for building things, right? Like, often you'll notice that people who are architects and builders, they'll have a blueprint of things, and then they kind of keep changing things around. They change the plans. They're like, no, we want to move the door here, or we want to move this room there. And that's fine. As long as it's the plan, you have control of it, you can change things around. So ask questions. Your first to-do is research, ask questions. The second is ask people for the answers, right? Not just go online, and it's great to Google, but reach out to the universities directly. Find out from their student offices, hey, how's the student experience? And, reach out to the alumni and job centers that universities are having and be like, what's kind of like the job situation after I graduate? Also use, the people around you are your biggest research and resource. Like, I'm sure you'll have friends, seniors from college and school, cousins, friends of friends of cousins who've gone abroad. Like, start asking people. Some of them will be like, terrible idea. That's fine. Hear them out. Some of them will be like, wonderful idea. Great. Hear them out as well. But make sure that you have a repository of questions that you've asked to vet your decision, to vet your idea. And then from there, find the answers and kind of like piece it together. Often I've also seen that a lot of people, they don't know how to write their statement of purpose. They don't know how to go about the application process. The reason being is because sometimes you haven't done enough groundwork in the beginning, because when you turn around and when you start your application process, all of those questions are going to be very helpful and useful in that application process, right? You're going to be able to write your SOP quite easily if you've already asked yourself questions and kind of answered it. So yeah, I think those are the to-dos. At least that's where I would begin. That's where I started. Ask myself a lot of questions. I wanted to make sure when I went in front of my mom and told her that I want to study abroad, I actually had a proper good case as to why I wanted to go and study, what I wanted to study, what I saw myself doing. And it's fine. We're young. Sometimes we have different plans, and plans can change over time. But whatever plan you have right now, let's build it out the right way. So that's what I would say for the to-dos. Questions. Ask a lot of questions and answer them.
How did you stop all the temptations of foreign nightclubs, drugs, wines, champagnes? All, how did you control yourself? I want to know.
How do I cope? Well, it's simple. It's kind of okay. I'm going to answer this question, how do I cope? And then I will kind of give you my version of how do you cope, right? How do I cope? It kind of does get a lot, whether it's the research phase of you discovering where and how and what, or whether it's the doing phase of actually applying, or whether it's the coming phase of I'm going to go abroad, or whether it's the landed phase of I'm here and looking for internships and jobs. It's a lot. And the way I cope till today is I pray. That's something that has been something I've been doing when I was young, and I hope I'm doing a lot more now as well. But my faith is very important to me, and it has really helped me in building the person that I am. So I believe in Jesus as my Lord and Savior, and I every morning it's my first go-to place to go and to pray, and I feel more confident, and that's how I cope. So I would say I'm a quite confident person, and I think my confidence comes from the Lord. And so that's my coping way, right? I pray. A lot of people that I know, the way they cope is they have their first hour of gymming, they have their, they like taking runs, they like exercising a lot, they like speaking with family and with friends and getting things off their chest. I know a lot of people who read. They, that's their space where they need to read something and then they kind of get creative. I know people you'll see a lot of international students who are sitting at, coffee shops, just sketching ideas or coming up with an app idea and just, ideating. So there's a lot of ways you can cope, and you need to find what works best for you because you're going to need it. For me personally, I cope by, I'll pray, I'll read my Bible, I'll watch a couple of sermons, I'll take notes of sermons because I feel like, I'm learning a lot, I'm getting a lot and digesting that content. So there's a lot of ways you can cope, but the one key thing is to cope very, very healthily, right? Mentally in a healthy way, physically in a healthy way, spiritually in a healthy way, because you're gonna have a lot to deal with. And quite often, unfortunately, a lot of people tend to other kinds of habits or things that are not conducive for your health or, just you. So remember that. And, the one thing I'd always say is remember from how far you've come, like how far you've worked hard. You fought for this blessing. You fought to be here. You punched through that wall and you actually made it. And it's fine. Sometimes just take that breather and be like, okay, I've come this far. I believe that God brought me this far. He's not going to leave me halfway through. So, okay, let's keep going, right? So find healthier ways and happier ways of coping. The way I cope is, like I said, I pray, I watch sermons, and I read my Bible. That's my coping mechanism and strategy. And I know a lot of people who, like I said, they bike, they like going on trails in the forest. So yeah, find something that works for you and that will uplift you up. Not uplift you up, like uplift you. Okay, story time. One of the things that people keep asking me is like, how did you study, when you were in 11th and 12th and stuff like that? And I actually have a fun story. So when I was in 12th standard, I was in a CBSE school. I did commerce, and by the grace of God, I had one of the best tuition teachers ever. He had been teaching me accounts and had instilled a lot of confidence in me as a person. ஒருத்தங்க வந்து நம்மள பார்த்தது நம்பி when they're like, oh, you're doing a good job. நீ நல்லா பண்ணுவ, நீ நல்லா வருவ. That was very, very encouraging. So I kind of started doing well in school. But I was always a last minute person. So I remember my mom, and the story is about mama. Um, like 12th standard board exam on the time level, like Feb on the time varumbodhu, we used to have Feb off and we would study on the Feb la dhaan. So Feb la dhaan na kind of padikave aarambichen. And when mom used to leave in the morning, I used to be sleeping. So amma vandu like around 9-10 o'clock office போகும்போது நான் தூங்கிட்டு இருப்பேன். When she comes back around like 6-7 o'clock after shoot or something, நான் தூங்கிட்டு இருப்பேன். So one day she walked in and I was sitting in the hall and she looked at me. She said, "நீ எப்பமா படிக்கிற?" And it was just such a very, because mom was someone who gave us the freedom at home to be like, you are old enough to manage your education, you're responsible, I trust you. So it was kind of like a very concerning question, and I was in shock. I was like, Mom, I study. I actually do study. She goes, when do you do it? And I'm like, well, I study all night. So I know a lot of people I don't recommend that. And, but I also believe that whatever works for you. Like for me, I am a night person. I can concentrate better in the night. I feel like there's more silence. There's more. Also, it's just motivation. I'm like, if I'm awake and if I'm not sleeping, then this better be worth it type thing. So I'm a night person. I study all night, and I used to go to bed, wake up at 11 in the night, and then I used to study all the way till like 7 in the morning, and then go to bed. So which is why every time mom was coming, I was sleeping. Like I'd either be sleeping or taking a break or something like that. So I said, this is what I'm doing, and then she goes, okay, and she goes to bed. Lo and behold, that night, her alarm rings around like 2 o'clock, and she gets up and she comes to where I was studying, and I'm actually studying, and I look at her, I'm like, you're awake early? And she goes, you're studying? And I'm like, I am. Why is that a surprise? Like, I am studying. So mom actually went to the kitchen and made me coffee, and it was wonderful because she had gone into the kitchen and she kind of was trying to find like the things, and it was so cute, like something that my mom would do for me at 2 a.m. in the morning, like 2-3 a.m. in the morning. So that became a habit throughout my boards, where every day, no matter how late mom would come in, no matter how early she'd get up, that 2:45, 2:50, she would wake up, make me coffee. I would drink coffee. She would talk to me. She'd be like, how are you feeling? How's everything? And then she'd go back to bed. I would continue studying, and that was one phase. The other phase, which is my favorite phase, is when I was actually in South Africa and I was studying law. A lot of the South African cases are actually, Afrikaans names. And Afrikaans is like, a language that is spoken in South Africa. And I had the habit of, the way I would best study is if I was able to teach someone or explain what I'm, studying to someone. And mom was that person. So around 1-2 a.m. in the morning, mom and I'd be in the hall, I would be explaining like, criminal law, like whatever doctrines and precepts and case law to her. And mom would actually sit there listening to it like, okay, cool, you kind of left that point, let's go over it again. So yeah, I had a lot of support from my family in terms of the way I studied. And it's quite nice because even if they did not understand it, they tried their best to be there for me. Mom was always my go-to in terms of studying. So that's one story for the day. So yeah, actually I gave you guys 2 stories. So that's okay. All right. So with that, thank you so much, Mama, for this Q&A session. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you have any comments, please leave it underneath. This is the first time, again, I'm doing something like this. So I would love to hear your feedback. If you want to see more Q&As, if you have more questions, kind of like let me know, and then we can set up something where I can receive questions and answer them. And with that, thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you guys soon.